Hi friends. This short presentation is just intended to give you a little bit of extra information on some helps for just optimizing the health of your family and some little tips and tricks to help you in your efforts to do that. It'll contain a lot of similar information to my other presentations on the website with just a little bit more in-depth information. So as you know, I'm a really big fan of making sure that you are getting enough sleep and that your family is getting enough sleep. And this can be a really big challenge when you have young children, which is why I'm a huge advocate of taking naps and creating a very structured sleep situation in your home so that everyone knows when bedtime is, when morning time is, when nap time is, if that's a time in your house, and you really stick to it. One of the ways that we have motivated our preteens to still go to bed early on the weekends is that we tell them they can get up early and play video games on Saturday morning. And this motivates them to not want to stay up very late on Friday night. It probably isn't going to last for very long. I'm sure once they start dating and hanging out with friends till later, that ship will sail. But for now, it's been working really, really well. A book that I recommend to you is called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. I will also put links to some of his presentations in the Dig Deeper section. He really helped me understand why sleep is so important and help motivate me to create a really healthy sleep schedule for my family. And over time, that's going to need to evolve, but reading this book will give you a basic understanding and even an in-depth understanding of why it's so important. It was just a really fascinating read. And so along with this, I also recommend reading The Circadian Code by Dr. Panda. He is such a fascinating man, and I will link also to some of his presentations in the Dig Deeper section. But his whole focus of study is the circadian rhythm and how when we get it out of whack, it can really mess with our body systems. I found this to be especially helpful for people who maybe are shift workers. I have some friends who work nights. So many problems happen when you mess with your body like that. And to understand how your body works and at least some strategies for how to combat some of the negative side effects of shift work would be helpful. If you know someone who does shift work, having them read this and just get information about why it's so important to be on a proper rhythm for your body is really helpful. And a lot of times shift work is necessary, but if it is not necessary, I recommend not doing shift work if you can help it, because our body really does run on that natural day, light, and dark night cycle, and when we mess with it, it just is really detrimental for our health. Dr. Panda and Dr. Walker are not plant-based scientists, so when they talk about nutrition, they may say some things that kind of fly in the face of what the whole food plant-based researchers say, and that's because that's not what they study. So I still find the information that they give on what they do study and what their field of expertise is to be very fascinating and very helpful in my quest for just having a life that's long and healthy. So let's go over a few more in-depth things dealing with skin. So again, right now I have some preteens, and so we have skin issues and hormonal changes and mustaches happening. I recommend if your child starts to develop some acne problems, first of all, clean up their diet and make sure to get rid of all dairy. Again, broken record, Candace, get rid of the dairy. It just messes with their hormones and will just cause a lot of inflammation in their body, which then can trigger acne. If that has already been taken care of and that is not an issue for them, obviously making sure that they're getting the sleep they need and that their stress is under control will help too. But another tip that has really been effective for a lot of people is to take a vitamin B5 supplement. It's called pantothenic acid. I just buy capsules and then open them up and put them in the smoothie that I make for my family every day. I put 4 to 6 capsules, depending on how my kids' skin is doing. If their skin's doing really well, I don't even add it. A lot of people will take that many, like, as an individual, like at mealtime, they'll divide up the amount of supplement they want to take every day, and you can increase, if you're not seeing the effects that you want. It's really hard to overdose on B5. It's a water soluble vitamin, so you would just pee out the excess that your body doesn't need. But a lot of people have seen success in trying that before they try some more severe treatments, like Accutane and stuff like that, or antibiotics, things that are going to really mess with your microbiome and your body systems. If you can just try the B5 first, I highly recommend that. And then make sure, if your kids have sensitive skin, or even if they don't, using a mineral sunscreen, so with zinc and titanium dioxide, is a lot better than using a chemical-based sunscreen. My kids are really sensitive to chemical-based sunscreens, and so they'll like break out in rashes and stuff when I would try to use a chemical-based sunscreen. I found Blue Lizard to be a brand I really like, and just make sure you get a brand that's waterproof if you're going to be using it for the water when you're going to be in water. And I really like the Elta brand for myself. They have like a daily sunscreen that I just use every day on my face. And it's Elta, and I really like it. And it's a mineral-based sunscreen, so my skin doesn't react to it. Oh, back to skin protection though. It is important to make sure we're getting the vitamin D that we need. So if you're just going to be out for a short period of time, you do need to let your body be exposed to some sunlight so that it can create the vitamin D that your body needs. So remember, vitamin D is a hormone that your body creates, kind of like cholesterol. We make our own cholesterol too. We make all the cholesterol that we need. So adding dietary cholesterol poses a problem for us. We make the vitamin D that we need through exposure to sunlight. That being said, if you're going to be out for a long time and you're going to be out playing in the water or out at a park or hiking or whatever, make sure that you do use skin protection and protect. Especially here in Utah, we have some of the highest melanoma rates that there are, and so we really need to make sure that we are protecting our skin. A lot of people might have concern about whether plant-based eating is safe for their kids, and I want to give you a resounding yes. Your kids will get all the vitamins and nutrients that they need from eating a plant-based diet without any of the gunk that they don't need. So many people now just feed their little kids when they first start eating. It's all about those little puffs, rice puffs and crackers, and their kids are getting all just this like processed grains and sugars and no real nutrition. So feed your babies when they're ready to eat solids. Feed them real food. They have those, they're called fresh feeders. They're just like a little mesh thing that you put the food in that you don't want your baby to choke on, and it snaps closed, and then they can hold it and gnaw on it and get all the goodness, and they'll get totally messy, but babies always get messy anyway. Also, babies learn a lot learning to feed themselves instead of always being fed, and they will choke less frequently when they get older if you let them learn how to feed themselves. So that's a really great tool to utilize. And then instead of like giving my babies that processed rice cereal in the evenings or in the day, I would just grind up oats till it was fine, like in my blender, and then put some water or you could do some soy milk, and then mash a banana into it. And so they're still getting like, they're not getting big chunks of food, but they're getting a whole food, even though it's been a little bit ground up for them. Kids who eat a plant-based diet are very, very healthy kids. They get sick less frequently. They have far fewer problems with asthma, obesity, and skin issues. They actually grow a little bit taller than kids who don't eat a plant-based diet. And so it is definitely a wonderful habit to start for your family. And then just as a reminder, remember that women who eat a plant-based diet are a lot more fertile. They have far fewer fertility issues. They have fewer symptoms of morning sickness. And just keep in mind, if you are concerned about developing an iron deficiency, before I started eating this way, I always got anemic during my pregnancies. And when I started eating a lot more beans and a lot more greens, that no longer became an issue for me. So make sure that you're getting the iron that you need and eating a really balanced plant-based diet when you're pregnant. The Daily Dozen will help with that, and boosting your greens and beans will definitely help protect against iron deficiency. And then finally, let's talk about making sure our family has healthy hormones. If we're eating a lot of packaged and processed foods and we're drinking out of a lot of water bottles, we're going to be exposed to the chemicals in plastics that can disrupt hormones. And so you want to make sure to get those stainless steel thermos type water bottles that are just reusable. If you can get a water filter, I have a reverse osmosis filter at my house, or just like a Brita or a Pure, those kind of filters. They just kind of help filter out anything that might cause hormone disruption. It's just kind of an added layer of protection. And then just making sure, again, with the dairy, that you're not over-consuming dairy and messing with your hormones. And then soy balances hormones. And all plant foods really probably contain some phytoestrogens in them. And then fiber. So the more whole you can eat your food, and for your family, like I just set out this big tray that has apples and bananas and cuties, mangoes, kiwis, just whatever sounds good to my kids that week that they want to eat, berries. It's just out always in my kitchen. So if they want a snack, they can just, pears, they're really into pears right now. Grapes, whatever, just stick it out every day for them to eat, so that if they want a snack and they're feeling hungry, that's their option. My kids also really, really love hummus and just dipping crackers and stuff in hummus. And it's just a way to sneak some extra fiber in. And then for my picky kids, I make sure that we eat salads a lot before our meals. And I just try to put as many whole fresh fruits and vegetables and beans into what I'm making for my family to give them that exposure. So even the ones who don't want to eat plant-based all the time, they are still getting a really good variety of flavors and tastes and textures from plants that I'm hoping when they are adults, they will want to continue to eat. And so these are just a few of my tips for helping your family to be as healthy as they can be. And again, please refer to the Dig Deeper section for more information straight from the researchers themselves.